Hello, Visions, and welcome to this recap of our last Family Learning Community session on March 10th. Here is a list of the previous sessions as well as the upcoming sessions for the remainder of the year. In this session, we talked about shared experiences, so Kristen's going to share a little bit more about what happened in this session.
So we talked about what shared learning experiences are and how they are really the starting point for meaningful learning. So before students can think deeply, they need a common foundation. So in our curriculum, all students engage with the same core content, whether that's reading a text, watching a lesson, exploring an example, or participating in a discussion. So even if they're learning at different paces or in different environments, they begin with shared experiences. So, why do these experiences matter? So, they matter because they help students build understanding together. They connect new ideas to prior knowledge and they develop key vocabulary and concepts. This foundation prepares them for deeper thinking and problem solving.
In our TK8 programs, this looks like sharing problem solving and exploring questions and ideas that students have. In the different content areas, this shows up in different ways. So in ELA, they may be grappling with a conversation about a theme or idea. In science, curriculum generally approaches problem solving and inquiry through phenomena. Like we would not just tell a student how metamorphosis works, but we might show them a butterfly and a caterpillar and ask them, what's happening in this process? This transfers the ownership of learning to the student.
In grades 9 through 12, this can look a little bit different in all the different subjects areas. So in English, students might read a text before they begin that deeper thinking of analyzing themes and characters. In history, they might watch a lesson before they start evaluating historical decisions that were made. In math, they could review a worked example before solving problems. In science, they might explore a concept like photosynthesis before they actually apply it on their own. And in electives, it might look like analyzing a model or an example before creating their own work. So how can families support this learning? So learning builds in stages. Students first engage with content, then work with ideas by practicing and making connections, and finally move into deeper learning of applying, analyzing, and explaining their thinking. Families can support by engaging with their students during this process, asking questions, having students recap what they talked about, what they learned. These shared experiences are what make that progression possible. They give every student the foundation needed to move into more rigorous, meaningful learning. This leads into what the instructional coaches covered about productive struggle and cognitive lift.
We started the instruction portion of this session by opening up with a discussion around background knowledge. We asked participants to reflect on a time when something was hard to understand until someone explained it or gave you more information first. What changed once you had the background knowledge? Then we continued the discussion by asking family partners to share out how they currently activate or build background knowledge for their students. Now we will hear from Dina about the Family Guide.
Thank you, Whitney. As Whitney was highlighting, it is important for our students to be the ones experiencing the thinking demands of our lesson and to be engaging in that productive struggle. Research has shown that when our students are engaging in doing most of the thinking in an activity or in a lesson, students are increasing their meaning making, they're understanding the content more deeply, they're becoming better problem solvers, and they're becoming more confident learners. So in this family guide, you'll find the definition of what is cognitive lift, why it's important, and some strategies to help you implement them at home. Cognitive lift is simply asking yourself, who's doing the thinking in this lesson? Who's doing the work? And when students are engaging in high cognitive lift, that means they are the ones that are doing the high thinking demands entailed by this lesson. They're doing most of the thinking. And what does that look like? That means that our students are probably explaining, they're describing, they are analyzing, they are critically thinking, they are brainstorming, and they're trying to problem solve. When students are engaging in low cognitive lift, that means that student is likely just a recipient. They are just receiving information, or they're answering questions that are asking them to define, recall, and it's either they know it or they don't. Because we recognize the importance of having our students be the ones who are doing most of the thinking, we're trying to have them engage in this high cognitive lift. And one of the easiest strategies to do that is, how are you asking your students questions? What question prompts are you using? And in this family guide, you'll find a very large table of a lot of different prompts that you can use based on the topic or what you would like them to do. But really, what all these questions have in common is that they are all exercising curiosity. You are asking your students, instead of defining or instead of recalling, you are asking them to explain. You're asking them to describe why. You're just being curious for your student to share, how do they know what they know? In this session, we also watched a video that captures how a teacher structures her classroom so that her students are engaging in high cognitive lift. What we invited our family partners to do here is to watch this video and observe some of the teacher moves made, some of the prompts used. And then what we did was, using those notices and observations, we were going to discuss them in our breakout groups to see how those strategies that this teacher uses can be translated to our learning environment at home.
In my learning environment, I create an ideal learning experience where I have my learners do the majority of the cognitive lifting while I facilitate. You will see that my learners are making connections and explaining their process as they address the question or task that was given to them. In this lesson, I begin with a prompt and the learners use the resources to solve it together. My role in the group work process is that of an active listener. I take notes that will help me build future mini lessons based on the needs or knowledge gaps I observe. Sometimes it is tempting to jump in and correct wrong thinking or provide a solution, but it's important that the learners carry the cognitive lift on their own. So I simply ask guiding questions designed to help them realize their misunderstandings and overcome them together. I build lessons that facilitate the transfer of cognitive lift from myself to the learner. Every unit must be backwards mapped and deliberately planned with my learners' needs in mind. I use data to anticipate their thinking and needs, develop lessons, and prepare guiding questions that will help them overcome their gaps and reach their goals. All the resources that my learners will need to succeed are provided. They know where these resources are located and how to utilize them so that they don't need to rely on me for clarification. In order to engage all learners and ensure everyone is actively engaged, learners have a role and responsibility in each group. These groups are built based on the learners whose personalities and needs complement one another. In the group, everyone has a role and responsibilities. They hold each other accountable so everyone is contributing and all are benefiting. When learners present, they have the opportunity to share their entire process, along with any aspects that they found tricky or got stuck on. If they arrived at a solution, they'll be asked to defend that solution as the group questions them. If not, they will have an opportunity to seek clarification from the group. This ensures that all voices are heard and any needs are addressed. The purpose of this process is to allow all learners to present their methods for solving the problem and to work through any misconceptions together.
Perfect. Use from 1 to 100. We drew it to 10, but now we realize that it's 1,000.
Again, I play the role of an active listener. I will facilitate discussion by asking guiding questions when needed, but I allow the learners to lead the discussion. Once all the groups have presented and discussed the prompt together, I run one final check for understanding where each individual will have an opportunity to work the problem on their own. Using what they learned from the group discussion, they will also reflect on their growth by responding to one of 3 prompts. For example, I used to think, but now I think.
Thank you, Dina. After building shared knowledge around cognitive lift strategies, our families were invited to engage in grade level specific breakout sessions with instructional coaches. These included TK through 2nd grade, 3rd through 5th, 6th through 8th, and 9 through 12. Within these breakout rooms, family partners had the opportunity to collaborate and discuss how to incorporate cognitive lift strategies into student activities and upcoming lessons. These slides capture the discussion and their deep dive into identifying where cognitive lift can be applied. Family partners considered how to adjust tasks to promote deeper thinking and how strategic questioning can prompt students to justify their thinking, make connections, and demonstrate a deeper understanding of their learning. This does conclude the instructional portion of our session. If you would like a deeper dive into the grade band group discussion that interests you, I invite you to pause the video here. Now, I will pass it back to our curriculum coordinators to close us out.
Thank you for joining us for another recap of our family learning community sessions. Join us next month for community support specific to curriculum and instruction across all academies. The RSVP link for April 14th is now live, and we look forward to seeing you there.